Good evening, everyone. Good evening, community members, and good evening, board members. Tonight is a presentation of our tentative 2018-19 school year budget. At subsequent meetings, there will be additional presentations. Often, as we get further into the process, there are other details that can be added. What we're presenting right now is a general overview. I begin with our mission statement because our mission statement and our strategic planning goals really guide a good portion of what is included in the budget. The mission of the Parsippany-Troy Hills Township School District, in partnership with families and the greater community, is to challenge and nurture all students academically and to develop confident learners who are compassionate, generous, appreciative, and invested in their diverse world. This will be accomplished through innovative opportunities that inspire lifelong learning, critical thinking and problem solving, creative exploration, and the democratic collaboration among students and staff. Our board at their last meeting approved specific objectives within the 3 strategic planning goals. And again, just as a reminder, our 3 key goals, which will carry us not just through this coming school year, but for several years beyond that our district will create an innovative and rigorous educational experience in a borderless learning community that produces creative students who are problem solvers and self-directed individuals, that all students will receive social and emotional support to become adaptable, confident citizens who embody self-awareness and strong interpersonal skills, capable of responsible decision-making and managing their emotions and behaviors. And our community of adult learners will be fully engaged in professional growth experiences which enable them to continuously hone their craft and maximize student achievement. With those 3 goals guiding our work, we also look to budget directives from the current school year. We're looking to direct our administration was directed to adhere to the following goals as we construct a 2018-19 school district budget. And that includes managing and controlling our expenses in the operating budget with the goal of achieving an end-of-year surplus of 2.5% of the total operating budget. A second goal, to provide adequate funding that does not diminish, to the greatest degree possible, current services to students. And I'm confident that the proposal tonight and additional sessions moving forward meet that goal. And to ensure a tax levy of 2% exclusive of a spending growth adjustment and banked cap. And we're able to meet that as well. Parameters that we operated under. I've only started here in July, but I do know that there were significant cuts that needed to be made in last year's budget in order to get the district back to an appropriate spending platform. Moving forward, that sort of thing needs to really be leveled out and be, I think, much more fiscally prudent. So due to not only trying to level out the district and get us into a very fiscally strong, healthy place, due to the 2% cap on property taxes, the district is really held to not moving beyond that. And then also anticipating no increase in state aid, we really have a pretty steady revenue stream that we're not anticipating will grow at all. And so we really need to look at what then are the costs that we are budgeting for the coming school year. The following information is based on projections and is subject to change. Our key budget drivers for this coming school year, as I indicated, are limit on property tax increase of 2%, increase in health benefits. Our latest estimates from our program providers indicate well over a 12 or 13% increase for next year. So that's something that we need to really take and look to envelop within our budget. And then there are negotiated salary increases that we honor, and we need to make sure that we include that as well. We are looking to include capital projects in the coming school year budget, and that would include many security upgrades and improvements, district-wide door replacements. Lake Hiawatha is in need of a partial roof replacement. Littleton Gym would have that gym floor replaced. The high school and central middle school are in need of home economic room renovations. We have district-wide paving and concrete work and district-wide flooring needs. So those would be capital improvements that we look to embed within our budget for the coming year. So if we look at our current status of our budget for next year, we anticipate including the use of enrollment adjustment aid, which is just over $400,000. It would include the use of a health care cost adjustment, and that would be in the amount of just over $690,000. And again, this is anticipating no increase in our state aid. At this point, as we move into pie charts and all of that, I'm going to hand it over to Robin Tedesco, our very capable business administrator, to go further.
This slide represents the revenue sources of the district. As you can see, 90% of our money comes from the local tax levy. 5% from, I can't see because I'm on the list time, 5% or just under 5% comes from federal and state aid. The rest of the drivers of the budget include federal funds, miscellaneous revenue, and sources similar to that. Now, we need all these pieces to fully fund the budget. Without these pieces, our budget would have to get cut. Our next slide is budget appropriations, and this slide represents all the expenditures of the district. As you can see, most of the expenditures come in the instruction. Over 75% of this budget is instruction, benefits, and support services for the students. Okay, now we talk about the increases to the taxpayers, and on cost of an average home in the district is $310,187, and based on the proposed increases, that would be an increase for the taxpayer of $164.68.
Under capital projects, it says Littleton gym floor replacement. Why is that being replaced?
Pretty much all of the elementary schools' gym floors have been replaced already. This would be the last one to be replaced. It also is one of the gym floors that has the mercury in it, and we do believe that this would be prudent for the district to replace it.
So it's scheduled to be replaced anyhow on the list of gym floors?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Anyone else? Mr. Blair.
On the same capital projects slide, it says here district-wide door replacements. Can you elaborate on that?
As we look at the exterior doors at each of our schools and our buildings, the principals have made recommendations in concert with their head custodians and with our SRO officers as to doors that either because locking isn't the way we would like it to be, or because we'd like to have something with less glass, that we would like to do some replacements of doors that would also speak to security upgrades.
Thank you, Ms. Blair. Anyone else?
The
Stilber.
doors that are being replaced, are they bulletproof? The glass, do we have?
I don't know that at this time.
Okay. Because I know we replaced a lot of doors already. So are they bulletproof? Do we know that?
I do not know the answer, but we'll find it out for you.
And how about the other two schools with the mercury issue as well? They're not in here, so at this time we don't need to make any recommendations for those?
As we indicated, we've had additional air testing conducted, and the most recent measures came back just a week or so ago, and those are either at the same appropriate level or even lower. So what we'd like to do is stage the work out and certainly address a gym floor replacement, but to do it in a prudent manner. And again, as Mrs. Tedesco indicated, Littleton made sense. It's the last elementary school that needs to be done anyway. It's the school that deals with our youngest children. And so that would be the first, and then we would follow up with the additional schools.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Goldberg. Anyone else? Okay, seeing no one else from the board, what I'm going to do now is open up to the public. And if there's anyone that would like to address the board on the topic of the budget and the budget only, please come up, signing your name and address in the book, and then come to the lectern and state your name for the record, and please address your chair. Everyone will have 3 minutes to speak. Please respect the time so others will have the opportunity also after you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, I'm Anya Scheifel, 14 Fox Chase Drive. I have one specific question about the revenue sources, and one of them is, like a retroactive question. I noticed that the emergency reserve is down to $265,000, and I'm guessing in the year, over the last year, hearing Dr. Seitz speak on that particular issue of our very tight budget. That seems to me a very low number. That in the past I thought I'd heard that it's, maybe 2 million, 3 million, and I just would like maybe some verification on that. And secondly and lastly, in the state and federal grant, the state and federal grant, actually C, where it says 5.598 million. Where does the extraordinary aid for the special services aspect of of what we apply for year in, year out, is that included or excluded in this budget? Because I know that I believe was well over the 2 million mark last year, and I want to see if that was included in here or hopefully excluded, so that would just be a surprise. A good one for a change. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak?
My name is Bob Venezzi. I live at 102 Brooklawn Drive. Did I hear correctly that the health benefits are going up 12 to 13%? Is that correct?
That's been what the estimate that's been provided to us.
I remember last year it was double digits. This is every year. I mean, it's unsustainable. The way we do health benefits has to change. It's, if the cap is 2% and you're going up 12%, it's eating into everybody else's allocation. So, it's getting raised, but nobody else is. And ultimately, because it affects the discretionary income or expenditures, because all of the non-discretionary has to be paid. And who suffers the brunt of the discretionary income is like capital improvements, you put them off, or stuff that you spend on the kids. So I mean, the kids aren't getting a raise, and I don't think parents realize that. I don't know, other than this board and the administration and maybe a handful of the teachers realize what's going on here. It's sucking up all of the resources. This is a contract year, and I think something has to change. And I think that you guys and the teachers have to come up with a way to stop this. What's going on? It's a vicious circle. It's got to stop. One way it could be done is if you took the whole pot of money from your health benefits and turned the whole thing over to the teachers so that they could allocate it however they want, spend it, you would start out just with the benefits that you have right today, but then in the future, that amount would go up by the same amount that your salary increases. If it's 2.5 or 2.6, whatever it is, but it would switch the risk onto the teachers, and it might turn out to be a good thing, because you know, I don't know what the, I mean, you could tell, I remember the, like the top policy was a few years ago was like, you know, like 35,000. I can't imagine what it is now. And I think that you know, they might be able to do something. You know, if they controlled their own, they could get cheaper insurance and have different tiers. So, you know, maybe some of them wouldn't want the most expensive policy, and they could put the money in their pocket. I don't know, but I mean, something has to be done, and it may not be what I'm suggesting, but you know, you got to come up with something, because mathematically, you know, the lines are going to, you know, the lines are going to cross, and you're not going to have any money. Thank you very much.
Dawn Barreca, 321 Lakeshore Drive. This is my first meeting, so I don't know what I do know or not know. But you addressed the district-wide doors, but what about the floors and the paving and the concrete? What is the necessity for that? And you answer at another time, that's fine. And then, I don't know if this has ever been addressed or talked about or questioned, but I didn't see anything about expanding any of our schools. So that's something I would hope that we're thinking about, as most of our schools have grown significantly. And I know personally our school is quite large as population-wise, and I've heard others as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
The question about extraordinary aid, yes, it is part of C on the revenue sources page. We budget for it every year. The rest of that is our state aid on that line. You also asked the question about the emergency reserve being only $265,000. Usually we don't use emergency reserve, we use capital reserve. This year in the budget we have emergency reserve and not capital reserve. We do have capital reserve. The district does have capital reserve, but it's not part of this budget this year. Yes.
Thank you, Mrs. Tedesco. And again, thank you for your questions. To our gentleman asking about insurance, thank you for your suggestions. As negotiations with our Education Association are ongoing, none of us really are at liberty to speak to any of that, but certainly your suggestions are noted and appreciated. Thank you. And for the question about paving and concrete, in visiting all of our schools, we want to make sure that as we have entrances for students and parents and staff, that we have sidewalks and paved areas that are safe, so that kids aren't tripping, so that they continue to be handicapped accessible, which is a requirement for us. And so the paving there is really to ensure that there aren't potholes or that there aren't ruts that would cause really danger for anyone. As far as expanding schools, and thank you for noting that, one of the board's committees is critical issues, and that committee is looking at both facility capacity at the schools so that we can understand which schools have larger student enrollment than others. And then we also are looking forward to future meetings with our township so that we can understand where additional growth might be coming into the community, and so that we can plan accordingly for that.